Well, hello there, lovely internet people. I hope you're doing okay today. As per usual, you don't have closed captions on. Turn them on to be helpful, but they definitely pull from another dimension, so I highly recommend turning on the closed captions because they're hilarious. And a little bit of levity might be called for tonight. Decided, even if I'm just talking into the void at myself, it may be helpful for me um, to talk about some stuff because in my streams on my tags for my channel, um, PTSD is one of my tags, and depression is one of my tags, I believe. At least they used to be. I don't know, everything. Oh, yep. Oh, it deleted my tag? I think it's deleted my tags. Yeah, it deleted my tags. Okay. Well, let's put the tags back on there. Was wondering why I wasn't seeing them show up, but that makes sense because they were deleted. That's always fun. But tonight, in addition to some art, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I struggle with. There we go. Now I have tags again. At least I should have tags again. I was wondering where my tags went. Now, hopefully, they are back. Yeah, there's my tags. Okay. I was wondering where they had gone because they had gone away. So make sure this is still muted and everything's all set. Yeah, there's my tags back again. I was wondering where all that stuff went. Trying to fix this stuff here. There we go. So in addition to some art, I'm actually gonna talk about my stuff. I had it in my tags. It's in my tags again. But I have not been myself lately because my stuff has been acting up. And I've kind of talked about my past a little bit, but I haven't talked about the mental health aspect of my past. So I'm going to get into that a little bit tonight. But I am still going to do some art because it's helpful. And then I'm going to jump into my experience with PTSD. We did this one on screen last time, and then again, because my PTSD and general anxiety and everything have been acting up lately, I drew a lot off screen. So we did this one and this colorized version of the same thing on stream. I did this one like right after stream. I did this one that I didn't like. Did this one. Did this one. And I think this one was today. And also this one. Was really trying to draw my way out of focusing on things today. So we're going to draw a little bit more Zen line because it is more intuition than intention. One of my favorite definitions for art that is that it's intentionality meeting intuition. And this is a little bit more um, intuition than intentionality. There's a little bit of intentionality to it, but it's mostly intuition. So we're gonna jump into the Zen line art like we usually start with, and then depending on how the stream goes, I may do more Zen line art, or I still do have this draw this in your style piece to finish. So I might jump into that, or I might make something entirely new. I don't know. I'm not loving the way I did the pants in these, and I'm not looking forward to trying to like fix them because I've already come pretty far into the drawings. I don't want to mess with it more, but I might need to. Um, so yeah, we might work on this a little bit more. Um, and again, if you want some levity on top of the heavy stuff I'm going to be talking about, turn your closed captions on because they're kind of hilarious. So yeah, we might work on that a little bit later. But again, I'm going to start with my Zen line. I'm going to set up the canvas and then I'm going to get into um, talking about PTSD. The differences between PTSD and CPTSD. My particular version of PTSD is CPTSD. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about generalized anxiety disorder, um, social anxiety disorder, the difference between those two, and depression. So I'm going to set this up and then work on that. Like, work on talking through some of that. Why I have it, the symptoms I deal with, what some of the symptoms are. Um, and in case anyone's wondering, like, this isn't a self-diagnosis. I've actually been diagnosed with these things. It's not just a Googling symptoms and deciding that I have a thing. Like, I do have diagnosis of these things, except for the CPTSD, because CPTSD was not a diagnosis when I was diagnosed. Um, but I really do think that my version of PTSD is closer to that one. But I was diagnosed with PTSD. Um, so yeah, so that's what we're gonna get into tonight. Um, and again, if that's a little too heavy for you, that's okay. And today's question of the day goes along with it, with the topic at hand, is what do you do for self-care? And again, even if it's just me speaking into the void this evening, I think it'll be good for me to just get out of my own head a little bit. So as usual with these, I like to just mess with the lines and then mess with the lines some more, basically. Until I get something that I like. The more complex it gets, it can look cooler. But it can also, if you try to print it on anything, it can cause problems if you try to print it on anything. So there is that aspect of it. And I love messing with this because it's kind of like a kaleidoscope. It is kind of relaxing. Get this lined up. So yeah, I don't know if anyone who might watch this VOD or happens to be lurking has any experience with PTSD or anxiety. But if you do, you know they're not fun. Um, it can be extremely hindering to going through life successfully. I think I'm gonna go with this. It's a little bit weird, but I think I'm gonna go with this thing here, but I'm gonna erase some stuff. So I'm gonna get into the PTSD part in a minute, but just while I'm like working on this, um, so I'll tell you a little bit about like what my PTSD stems from. So my PTSD is from growing up with some very, very, very bad abusive people who were abusive in every way you can imagine. I grew up in poverty, had a lot of spaghettios and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, but they were very, very abusive, neglectful, physically abusive, mentally abusive. They definitely did not encourage me. I was not allowed to stay after school and participate in extracurricular activities because I was expected to work at home. We would go around. Um, where I grew up, there's a thing called Cleanup Week, and it's basically like spring cleaning and stuff. It's usually if you put too much stuff in the trash, the cities would not pick that up. Like they would not take your trash if you had too much stuff in there. Maybe you had a big pile of stuff. So this was a time of year, either in the fall or spring or both, where you could put out more stuff on your curb and the town would get it. And they called it like spring cleanup week in a lot of the places. Um, I'm just refining these shapes. Like even though I had like the basic outline of the shape, there's still some spots that I want to tinker with. Um, just to get a little better here. So we would drive around and literally rummage through people's trash piles. And that alone creates quite a stigma on someone because people look at you like you are trash. It's not a standard behavior in society. And when you're a child, you don't really have a choice. So we would go around and pick up anything we thought was useful. We would store it in this big giant barn or in this big, what used to be a chicken coop on a property. And we would spend a long time fixing everything up. And then once a year, we would um, hold a like summer long garage sale. As soon as the weather was nice, we would take all of our wares and like set up the bikes and set up tables outside and put signs out like on the road. We did live off of like a really busy intersection of two major roads, two major routes, I should say. And so that was how we sustained ourselves. No one really worked. We just lived off of what we could sell. Mowers, bikes, VCRs, glassware, any random thing you can think of that you might pull out of someone's trash and sell. Um, so I always had to be home to work on those sorts of things. And I was also kind of the black sheep of the family because I wasn't, I was a stepchild. So I got things a little bit worse than other kids. But everyone in the family got a beating at some point. I just got them more frequently because I was the step grandchild and the stepchild in the situation. Um, There was also multiple instances of other types of abuse um, that I'm not going to get into detail on, but you can infer what you will off of that. Um, and by more than one male in the family. Um, there was a time I got punched in the face so hard that my nose wouldn't stop bleeding, and they had no choice but to take me to the ER that time. Um, it was really, 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 really bad. So when I got to, I mean, just lots of really bad. We didn't even have like a working shower in our house for a really long time. I had to go next door to my maternal grandmother's house to take showers, or baths like once a week. So with all of that, like being a kid that was literally thrown into dumpsters to like rubbish for them, and being the kid not allowed to stay after school, and then being a kid who could only get a bath once a week, and being a kid whose clothes were just hand me downs or like out of other people's trash piles. Um, you can imagine I wasn't very popular. And I was taught to be distrustful of police and CPS because they were called many times. But the monster you don't know is scarier than the monster that you do know. So yeah, fast forward till I'm 16, and I finally started getting really scared because one of the males who did things was saying they were gonna kill my mother and marry me so I could have their babies. And I finally, like, something clicked inside of me, and I was 16, and I like had this plot at school to try and get to like my mother's work, because somehow in my mind, like, she would magically change and fix things and be different than she is, and or was. And it backfired, and CPS got involved, and I was put into foster care until I was 18, and I signed myself out. I found my biological dad and stuff, and went through a little bit of therapy. Honestly, not as much therapy as I probably need, but um, I went through a little bit of therapy, and then went through a really long process of trying to figure things out. Because when you grow up in a way where you're always wrong and everything's wrong and punishments are very severe and physical. Hey, Jay. Thanks for stopping by. I'm not sure how much of my biography you've heard so far, but we're kind of talking through some stuff today. Um, so yeah, went into foster care, and all of that stuff. I found my biological dad and started this long process of trying to figure out who I was, because, like I said, in my biological slash step family, punishments were very severe, and I learned to be a people pleaser and stay quiet to avoid said punishments. And um, I kind of did the same thing when I went into foster care. And I realized with every foster family I was with that everyone's normal was different. Like, no one had the same concept of normal. Like, everything was different in every foster home and everything. Um, So yeah, that's like the reason why I ended up with the diagnoses um that I have. And like I said, I've talked about my backstory a little bit before, but I haven't talked about like the actual effects of those things. And so I figured it might be a good conversation to have, because to be honest, I have not been myself lately, and I have been retreating a lot and removing myself from the world, and fighting with my brain a lot lately. And so talking it out and like recognizing what it is, even if I am just mostly talking into the void, getting it outside of myself might be helpful. So um, that's what's happening. By the way, Jay, if you're still there, we're working on a Zen line drawing. Um, we do usually one of these every stream as like a little warm up. So they're just like these symmetrical stress relief drawings for me. They're very stress relieving for me. So that's why we do one of these like every stream. Some of them come out cool, some of them not so much. This one's a cool one. I like this one. But anyway, so as I said, this isn't just me Googling myself. You know, when I went into foster care and everything, actually, like it was mandated that I had to go to therapy. And so I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, PTSD, and depression. And the medication they put me on at the time made things a lot worse for me. Some people, taking depression medication can cause you to have suicidal thoughts. And I was one of those people. And so the depression meds made it worse. And I really wish they hadn't put me on those meds because it wasn't just a simple chemical imbalance. Like there are very deep-seated reasons why I was and am the way I am. And it wasn't just a chemical imbalance. There was a lot I needed to talk through and process and undo. Um, Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that. It is nice to not just be talking out into the void. Um, Even though part of me is like, oh, I'm just talking to the void. Sometimes it's easier when I'm just talking to the void. Um, but anyway, so like I said, this isn't just me Googling and saying, oh, I have this stuff. Like I was legitimately diagnosed with these things. The only one that is more of a me Googling is CPTSD. And that one is because it's still not a diagnosis in the DSM, like even DSM 5, which is the diagnostic that psychiatrists and psychologists use to like figure out what you have going on. Um, it's not a recognized diagnosis, but if I think it is more fitting to my situation if it ever is a recognized diagnosis. So anyway, first off, if you're not sure what PTSD is versus CPTSD, one of the biggest differences in them is PTSD is usually from a single event, like a single trauma, and it's trauma at any age, and it can be a little milder than CPTSD. CPTSD is continual, long term, repeated trauma, and it's usually more due to childhood experiences because with CPTSD, your brain is still forming. And when you're going through all these traumas, your brain can fuse in unhealthy ways. And it usually can be a little more severe than just regular PTSD. Um, but PTSD symptoms are usually in, there's like four types of symptoms, behaviors. There's intrusion, there's avoidance, there's negative changes to thoughts and mood, and it can change any arousal or reactivity that you have going on. So intrusion is just like intrusive thoughts when you can't shut your brain off from thinking about things. So it's like reoccurring involuntary memories of things that happened, upsetting dreams that have happened, disassociation, which is like flashbacks or kind of like shutting off, like you're not even there. Um, Distress cues, or you might like know it as like triggers, and then body reactions. So like even just thinking about something increases your heart rate. Or for example, like when I would talk to my caseworker about things, like I would actually get physically sick sometimes, like talking about things that had happened or before we had to go to court or things like that. Um, so those are the like intrusive things that go with PTSD. Um, there's also avoidance. So avoidance is literally what it sounds like. You avoid, like, oop, I'm still on the eraser. You avoid the people, places, conversations, activities, things, just any situation that could remind you of all the bad stuff. Um, Even like avoiding your own thoughts and feelings. And I know that might sound weird, but it's definitely something that I have done where I call it going numb. It's easier and less painful to feel nothing sometimes than it is to deal with a situation. Um, so that is definitely something I've experienced, and I will say my symptoms have eased throughout time, throughout the years. Um, but my symptoms have never completely gone away. They always rear back up periodically. And like I said, lately I've been kind of having one of those where I'm finding myself having to battle my brain a little bit more lately. Um, I have a feeling I am not going to love how this one is going to come out. So that's the avoidance. Um, then there's negative changes in your thoughts and mood. So it's it's like a persistent, pervasive, negative emotional state. Like some of the times I've said to some of my friends, like, I feel like most people are happy with bouts of depression, and I'm generally depressed with bouts of happy. Um, so it's feeling like shame or anger or fear. And for me, it's fear a lot. Um, it's feeling, um, yeah, just like shame and anger and fear. Um, it's sometimes not being able to remember things about the event because of the disassociation, like stuff that happens that you block out for a while because it's just too hard to deal with. Another thing that I struggle with is negative self talk because that's another thing with PTSD where you have really bad and heightenedly bad, like not just your normal, like, oh, I suck. Like, it's like, I am unlovable. The world is this evil, bad place. Like, people are going to hurt me. So I might as well avoid people and not give them the chance. Um, it's very, very intrusive thought patterns, very bad self-talk about me and about the world. Heightened blame, usually to yourself. Loss of interest in stuff you used to like. There were a bunch of years when I straight up stopped drawing. I didn't even want to draw for a while. Um, you get that up there. Um, and there's a feeling of detachment from others because, again, if I avoid people, they can't hurt me. If I don't get close to people, it doesn't give them a chance to hurt me. Then there's like changes in reactivity, and this is a really, really big one for me. It's called hypervigilance. So it's a feeling that you constantly have to be on guard, where like danger is absolutely everywhere. And it makes me a little bit OCD because any crazy, weird situation that you can imagine where a disaster could arise, my brain will automatically jump to that worst case scenario. And then I'll try to like preemptively prevent that, even though the odds are that thing is not gonna be a thing. My brain consistently jumps to the worst case scenario. Um, so that's a fun time. I have a hard time relaxing. If I hear noise outside, I'm like, I have to check it out, make sure it's not a burglar coming to get me. I am on heightened alert for snakes all the time. Even in my own home, I feel like I have to maintain like a certain standard. Because if people visit, like obviously they're gonna think I'm terrible. like, um, in a lot of ways, I'm afraid of other people. Um, and the other thing with that, you tried to send a message. Um,
Hey, how are you? You
Look
guys
at
can
this.
also click
Stop
the
it.
panel.
There we go. Yeah, if you tried to send me a whisper or something, it didn't send it. Um, so yeah, hypervigilance is a really big thing for me. Um, like I said, really hard time relaxing, really hard time trusting that I am safe in situations and from people. Like I always have to be on my best behavior because if I'm not, in the past, it was actual physical consequences, or like my stuff would get thrown in a burning barrel, or like just lots of really bad physical consequences. And then when I went into foster care, if I quote unquote messed up, it was getting moved to a new foster home. Um, oh, okay. Um, so yeah, my hypervigilance is off the chart bad. That is like my biggest, most persistent symptom to this day. The nightmares, for the most part, have like gone down a lot. The like body memories, like disassociation, like feeling like things are happening again. Most of that has gone down. I do occasionally get like actual panic attacks where like it feels like memories are circling on this film reel that I can't shut off, and it's whether I open or close my eyes. Um, but the hypervigilance one is probably my worst symptom. I am terrible at relaxing, super terrible at it. And I feel like I always have to stay busy and stay on top of everything at all times, or I don't know, the world's gonna end. I don't know. It's just a thing that's slightly broken in my brain. Um, and so the reactivity changes. It can also be like difficulty concentrating. Um, I have a heightened startle response, meaning I jump at stupid things a lot, and get scared at stupid things a lot. It can also include impulsive, self destructive behavior. Thankfully, I haven't had as much of that. Um, but there have been insomnia times, and there was a period where I purposefully, and this was when I was much younger, and no, it's not a thought now. You don't have to worry about me in that aspect. I would never abandon my son. But there was a time when I was a teen, I had a very bad supervised visit with my biological mother, and I purposely overdosed on sleeping pills and woke up throwing up in the hospital. So the impulsive, um, self destructive behavior was definitely an issue more in the past. And then, like I said, problem sleeping. I definitely have some insomnia. Um, problems. So usually um, PTSD is caused from exposure or going through a trauma. And some people don't get it, and some people, I don't know, it may have a genetic component. It is more common in women. And then the other things, like some of the things that can cause you to develop it, is lack of support. So, yeah, I had caseworkers and I had foster care people, but I actually had friends that were mad at me that I didn't tell them what was going on. Um, and so I lost even like my friends' support group when I went into foster care. They all kind of got mad at me. Um, and I did like my maternal line um definitely had some mental health issues before that. So that's PTSD. And like I said, that was my official diagnosis, but CPTSD wasn't a diagnosis, and it still isn't recognized in the DSM as a actual diagnosis still. But I do think that if it was to be put into the DSM, it would be a diagnosis that would be more fitting for me. So, like I said before, I started going off about PTSD, complex PTSD or CPTSD. Um, Regular PTSD has all the symptoms that I just talked about. And like I said, thankfully, I don't have to deal with too many of them too much. I still have problems sleeping. I still am extremely hypervigilant. Um, but complex PTSD is from ongoing trauma. So it's not just one event, like one thing that you went through, it's repeated trauma over and over again. Um, So, like I said, it was multiple kinds of abuse, neglect, physical abuse, and then eventually what people went to jail for was other abuse that I'm not going to get into, but you can infer. And not everyone that committed that did end up in jail that should have, but it is what it is. The main person went to jail. Um, but CPTSD is the same thing as PTSD, except for it's called complex because there are more trauma events and they're usually more ongoing. And because it's usually something that happens in childhood and your brain is wiring itself and forging connections, it can make you make more unhealthy connections in your brain. So for CPTSD, you can have control difficulty with your emotions. And so that's anger, persistent sadness, depression, and suicidal thoughts. And I definitely struggle with persistent sadness. Sometimes anger, but not too much these days. I just have come to realize that anger doesn't serve me well. But at the same time, I've also heard depression and sadness being described as anger you take out on yourself. So, in a way, maybe I am still angry, but I just be angry at myself instead of the situations and people. Um, Negative self view, which is another big one. It's something that makes a person feel, again, back to like the shamefulness um, or guilt or helpless. My husband has been working on me for years now to try and make me stop my habit of saying I'm sorry. And eventually, like, one day we had to talk about it, and I was like, I guess I'm apologizing for existing and taking up any space because I would apologize constantly. And it drove him a little batty. I think he's part of the reason why I am much more healthier because he actually supports me. So that's good. I haven't had a solid support system very much. Oop, wrong thing in the past. Um, so I think that's why I'm doing better than I have and going longer between flare ups. Um, this one's coming out kind of weird. That's okay though. It's still relaxing me while I talk about the things. Um, so I definitely view myself in a negative light a lot. And part of that is because everything I went through. And then when I did go into foster care and the person pleaded guilty in court and everything, my mother stayed with that person. And even though they pleaded guilty to everything, um, she chose to stay with that person and, like, in a way, blamed me. And so, like, for years, it was like, if my own mother doesn't want me, like, something must be really wrong with me. Um, but they were just really messed up people. Um, Another symptom with CPTSD is difficulty with relationships because when you have trouble trusting other people and you have a really negative self view of yourself, it doesn't really bode well for healthy, good relationships. Um, so I've avoided people, and back like after I signed myself out of foster care and was really just trying to figure things out, I actually had some really bad relationships because like that's what I knew in the past. So I was, you know, I was used to that sort of thing. So it was just I didn't have the best relationships. I either didn't have relationships or because I had such an unhealthy self view, I would put up with more than I should have for years until I figured some stuff out. And then you can also lose your meaning, but I, I for me that wasn't as big of a thing. But all of that stuff, I'm sure you can see how that can cause difficulties in having a successful life. Um, just being successful and getting out of your own way and having healthy relationships with people. Um, Another thing is I overcompensate. Like I feel like I have to do more and put in more work because my worth comes from what I can accomplish rather than being an inherent thing. And that comes from like people pleasing as well. Um, so yeah, um, that is PTSD. Um, a lot of things have helped, and like I said, thankfully my symptoms aren't as bad as they used to be. Um, but it is a thing that I deal with, and I've had it in my tags for a while, and I haven't really talked about it or explained it or just like gone over what it is for people who might not be familiar with it. So I thought that might be helpful. I'm gonna take a moment and go to the art for a minute to like help calm myself, and then my other diagnosis is generalized anxiety, which is different from like just regular anxiety. Um, so I'm gonna take a moment though and work on something with this art. I neither love nor hate how it's coming out so far today, by the way. I do notice when I'm particularly upset or dealing with more upsetting topics, I tend to draw more tight lines and just go way more in detail and create more segments than I do when I'm like feeling a little better. So the other thing, that's one of the things that has really helped me is artwork. And a lot of times, one of my favorite definitions I've said before for art is that art is intentionality meeting intuition. So there's all the techniques and what you tend to draw or what you intend to draw. And that's the intentionality, choosing your subjects, choosing your mediums, all the techniques and skills that you've picked up. But then there's also intuition. Um, and that's why I like these Zen line drawings because they're a little bit more intuition and a little bit less intentionality. So I can be a bit mindless. I've been working with this stuff long enough that I kind of know like what patterns it's going to create. So there is a little bit more intentionality than when I first started, but it still is pretty intuitive. So it's a bit more relaxing than if I'm trying to get a shadow just right or make fabric look like fabric or something. Like on the Draw This in Your Style that we might get back to tonight. I don't like the pants in that one. I need to do that over. That's another thing with the PTSD being overly critical. I can always find something wrong with everything that I do. Um, Yay, what I was trying to do kind of sort of came out there. Um, I kind of wanted it to come out heart-like. It kind of came out heart-ish. Um, so I'm kind of happy with that section. Um, so anyway, yeah, the ramblings of a mad woman. Um, that's my stuff for the void. Um, that's one of my diagnoses is the PTSD. Um, and like I said, if it had been a diagnosis at the time, I think it would have been complex PTSD. Um, so there is that. Um, the other diagnosis that I have is GAD or generalized anxiety disorder. Um, and you don't have to have panic attacks with that. Like I said, I generally actually luckily don't really have panic attacks. Um, and but that said, a lot of people like worry and feel anxious um a lot, but I worry and feel anxious almost constantly. Um and again it's excessive worry and anxiety. It can be fatigue because you're constantly worried and stressing yourself out and releasing those sorts of hormones. And that can tire out your body. And you're also having trouble sleeping a lot and feeling restless. You can have trouble concentrating sometimes. So for generalized anxiety disorder, it is excessive anxiety and worry about a variety of topics and activities and events. Excuse me. Um, it can happen more often than not for like 6 months or more, and it's excessive, like clearly excessive, the amount of crap I worry about. Um, it's really challenging to control, and the worry doesn't stay on one particular thing that like is reasonable to worry about. Like it's consistent, persistent, I like the focus of whatever I'm worried about can shift to being worried about a different thing very quickly. Um, so yeah, and um, the anxiety and mental worry that's in my brain, it also comes out in physical ways. So I have like worse muscle aches and body aches. Um, which I also have a thyroid condition, which I maybe probably thought myself into with worrying all the time. Um, but you can feel edgy all the time. You can feel restless, which I'm not great at resting myself. Um, you can get really tired from worrying all the time, and then even though you're really tired, you can't sleep. Um, sometimes my mind just goes blank too. Um, I am irritable inside myself, even though I don't show it to other people. And you can even get like muscle aches and soreness. I've had a lot of neck problems because I'm so tense all the time because I'm constantly worried and anxious about everything. And I have a lot of trouble sleeping. Um, so yeah. Um, so that's generalized anxiety. Um, and again, it's something that's more prevalent to women and girls, and it's also probably an offshoot of PTSD. Um, but yeah, so that's generalized anxiety. And then I think um, there's also social anxiety as well, which with both you have physical symptoms, um, but with generalized anxiety, like I worry about minor day to day things and major things, and I avoid things. And with social anxiety, it's getting worried about meeting people or being observed or even performing in front of others. Um, I kind of got over that a little bit teaching art, but it's like the only times I've ever been able to get over and through this sort of thing is when it involves art. If it doesn't involve art, I'm not good at not thinking about it. I'm not good at getting past it in other situations. Only if it involves art am I okay and decent at getting through this sort of thing. Um, so yeah, and a lot of times, general anxiety disorder and post traumatic stress disorder are like diagnoses. Like they're often diagnosed together um, because of the hypervigilance aspect. It's so blown out of proportion for some people that it becomes generalized anxiety. Um, so yeah, and then, of course, depression. I think everyone pretty much knows all the stuff that depression brings on. And again, I think it's another offshoot of the PTSD. Um, and it's a lot of the same symptoms as PTSD. Um, and like I said, lately, I haven't been myself. I have recently pulled myself. I took a break from showing up in Twitch streams because my brain is telling me that I'm not important and people don't really want me there anyway. Like, I am obviously clearly annoying and I bring the party down, obviously, because that's a thing my brain tells me. So I've kind of taken a break recently from showing up in streams as much. I have recently pulled myself out of several social chats and events. Um, and there's recently like a simple thing that happened, and my brain like immediately shut down. I had scheduled something, and then someone else scheduled something, And my peer group kind of confirmed to me like after the fact, but I canceled the thing that I had scheduled because once the new thing was scheduled, I was like, oh, that's it. Everybody's going to go to that thing. There's no point in even having my thing. Um, because even people that said they were going to show up and support my thing, they're obviously just going to go to this other thing now that there's another option because I am unimportant. Just all the general things my brain tells me um, about that sort of thing. So I canceled my thing and even like tried to get the feelings out by talking to a few people, but in my brain it like just confirmed because they like logically they're like just reschedule. But my brain was like, oh yeah, I'm the one that needs to reschedule, even though my thing was scheduled first. So they're just confirming to me that I was right and I'm not important. And none of that is really very true, but my brain is really great about turning situations in on themselves and turning into one of these Zen line drawings and just twisting and turning everything around in knots for me. My brain is exceptionally good at that. I'm in a love-hate relationship with my own brain. So yeah, if I haven't quite been myself as much lately, or I have not been showing up in your streams, if anybody watches this VOD after the fact, um, it's because all of that stuff that I just talked about is flaring up. And I feel like I kind of know why, and this is gonna sound weird, but I recently went through really bad grief process. Like for multiple years in a row, I lost multiple people and multiple important people. And I feel like I finally started to come out of the grief process. And then I caught the Ronas, and my self worth is very intrinsically linked to how much I am able to get done. Only my output, not just that I have worth because I'm a person. It's extremely linked to what my output is. And with COVID, I didn't have an output. It hit me really hard. And for almost 2 weeks, I did not have the energy or the ability to walk around and do simple tasks. And I think that's why things are flaring back up right now. Because my brain is like, you didn't accomplish anything for 2 weeks. See, you are worthless. And again, I know logically that that's not true. But my PTSD brain still comes at me with it. And as I discussed, one of those symptoms of PTSD is intrusive thoughts. My brain comes at me with it over and over and over again. So it takes a while to bat that crap down and send it back to where it belongs. Well, hello, Fom. And hey, H squared. Thanks for being out in the void today. Um, we're like talking about things tonight. I kind of just went through my whole life story and I went over what PTSD is and complex PTSD and how I've personally been affected and how the symptoms that manifest within me. and how it's been flaring up recently because it's been in my tags, but I haven't expressly talked about it. And I haven't been feeling myself lately, so I just felt like it was a good idea to talk about it and get it out there. And if nothing else, get it out of my own brain. Um, so thanks for showing up, even though you saw the stream title and knew we were going to be talking about some crazy things today. And my question of the day goes along with all of this. Ooh, what did I do? What did you do? I pushed the wrong button. That's what I did. My question of the day is actually the question from yesterday, but I don't, or from Wednesday, but I don't think anyone answered it. So the question of the day is, what do you do for self-care? How do you rejuvenate your mind? I've got to erase this part because it is bothering me. I do not like how this part came out. I like all the parts except for that part. I think one of the other things I like about Zen Line is that it reminds me that things are not as they appear. 90% of these Zen line images that I do are made entirely out of straight lines. And because of how I'm making them, they look curved a lot. And so that Zen line stuff reminds me that things aren't always as they appear. Just the same way my brain can take really benign things and twist them into all these curves and sections. I think that's part of why I enjoy Zen line art like this, other than it being just intuitive, just allowing yourself to keep putting down line after line after line. It's therapeutic when all you have to do is keep drawing straight lines. And like I said, there is a little bit of reason to the rhyme at this point because I've been doing it for a while, but yeah, that is better. I like that better now. That's part of why I like these entangles as well, is they're a reminder to me that just drawing the straight line over and over, the repetition can turn into something beautiful. So repeating healthy patterns of behavior, I can kind of rewire my brain better. And in a lot of ways, I've been successful in doing that. Like I said, the symptoms that I have are a lot less. But it's also a reminder the other way that straightforward things, your brain can twist them into a bunch of curves and just noise. All right. I haven't done this pattern in a while. But like I said, there is a tiny bit of rhyme and reason to this sometimes. But this particular pattern is a pattern that I designed a while ago that I haven't done in a while. That's my owl pattern, by the way. Didn't come out great, but this is a pattern that I've done quite a few times because I think it looks like an owl, or in this case, a bunch of owls, 8 owls. So that's the other reason I did this one tonight. I am a fan of owls since they are a symbol of wisdom. And wisdom, seeking wisdom, is something that has helped my brain get ever so slightly better throughout the years. So I like seeking wisdom. Thus, I like the symbol of the owl. Depends entirely on my emotional state and how many tasks I have to complete. Often, if I complete a smaller yet important task, I feel better. Yeah, that can definitely be helpful. Sometimes with depression, it can be hard to make yourself do anything. And then, at least for me, and then when you finally get a thing done, it starts that sense of accomplishment, and your brain gets that little hit of, oh, I did a thing. Now I can do another thing. Like, at least for me, sometimes it's like just finally doing that one little thing helps my brain. All right. Whatever one little thing I didn't have the energy to complete, um, getting one little thing done definitely helps sometimes. And for me, again, it's art. It's been art for a really long time. Sitting down and forcing myself to focus on something that's outside of my brain is what helps me. Um, Sometimes it sounds weird, but I OCD clean, and I think that's a shame guilt thing. Like when I'm thinking about things from the past that are really painful and hard, deep cleaning something helps me like remind myself that that's not the environment that I'm in anymore, that I have more control over that sort of thing. If that makes any sense. My brain somehow thinks it makes sense. Then again, what is my brain now? My brain thinks some awful things. Oh my goodness. I assume what you're talking about rejuvenating yourself, not like on a daily, but when you are truly down. In that case, I usually like to slow down and turn to something comforting and familiar. I think there's something powerful in what you said about your Zen line. In a similar fashion, I might just pick something to do that is, in a sense, repetitive and cathartic, whether it's picking up an old sketch and working on it hours at a time just so I don't have to activate. Yeah, I do that too. I get really into working on things. Yeah, I don't love how this one section in here looks too much. That's okay. It's kind of not a prevalent feature, so it'll be fine. It'll be grand. I don't know if you separated that because you felt like you needed to, or if Twitch actually has a limit that I didn't know about and you hit it. I can turn this up now. That's part of. There we go. Yeah, I enjoy these Zen lines for multiple reasons, but one of them is that it's cathartic. I also find it amusing that I'm talking about this really hard, difficult stuff, and what comes out of this is more intuitive drawing is heart shapes, basically. Um, I do find that amusing. And I have no idea what I'm doing on the coloring today. I'm just coloring. And sometimes when I do stuff like this, they end up being some of my best work. And sometimes I do stuff like this and they come out like crap. It's funny. Some of what I think are my best drawings have come out of nights where I'm upset or something. And a lot of times I'll have sketches in my sketchbook that I don't like showing people because for me, they're very negative. But yet people look at them and they see very positive things that I don't. I just don't see it. Um, and I find that quite amusing. There's this one drawing in one sketchbook that is a girl who has broken clear from a cliff, and the implications are she had been chained to this cliff. And there's like water beneath, there's a city across like the canyon that she's on. And a lot of people who see that drawing think it's a very hopeful, happy drawing. And I look at that drawing and I'm like, she just broke free, but where the hell is she gonna go now? You write music, Hellbound? Do you write music like instrumentals or do you write lyrics? My brain is much something to liberate myself from mental exhaustion. Hold music that fires up certain emotions and try and tap into those feelings. Simply just to feel and not think too much. Firing up, I just need to force myself to slow down. Rewatching old movies, essentially tapping back into the past just to regain a bit of a sense of normalcy and let my brain recover from the fatigue. Yeah, I'm not as good at like tapping into the past because for me that's really not a good thing. Um but I do get that. My brain wants to add another color and I'm like, you don't need another color. But my brain's like, add another color. So we're gonna add another color for no reason. Because another color will fix it. No. The blue is fine, but the rest isn't. I definitely get that. Honestly, Foam, I know you weren't here for like the first part, but no, like in what forged a lot of my PTSD and stuff, I didn't have a lot of hope or goodness, and that's part of why I ended up with the PTSD. Um, but later on in life, there were better things. I have a bad tendency to listen to sad music, though, sometimes. Or again, with depression and PTSD and stuff, it can lead you to not enjoy things the way you used to. So sometimes I'll go to try and glean inspiration And I won't get that because my brain doesn't enjoy it as much. Like things that used to bring joy, my brain talks bad about it, basically. Um, my brain tries to tell me it's not great. I don't know how to explain it even. My brain hates me. That's how I explain it. Um, but no, like I was explaining at the beginning, I had a really, really rough childhood. Um, that caused severe PTSD and general anxiety disorder and depression. Um, and that's what I was kind of talking about, like the first half of the stream. Um, was all of that stuff. Um, it was pretty bad and severe, and people literally went to jail, is the recap. Um, and I survived pretty much every type of abuse and neglect that you can think of. And eventually got put into foster care. And people went to jail. I think I already said that part. um, so like I said, like I've been saying, I haven't really been myself lately, so that's why I wanted to just kind of like talk about things um that I hadn't really talked about before. And hopefully it gives people some insight into why I maybe seem negative a lot. It's because my brain is quite negative a lot, and it's a battle that I have within myself a lot. Um, but I know about it and I know why I do it, and usually it isn't too bad, but every so often it flares up and gets pretty bad. Hopefully, someday in the future, I just won't think about it as much and it'll just be a thing of the past. That would be fantastic. I sometimes sing a song to myself called If You're Happy and You Know It, Overthink, to the tune of If You're Happy and You Know It, because my brain is terribly fantastic at overthinking me into oblivion. Shadow just came in from outside, and apparently his earbud was so loud I could hear a video laughing. You were laughing at me? Oh, he was laughing at me because he knows how I am and that I overthink everything. And he just said that if you're happy and you know it, overthink was the biggest understatement of the year. So apparently it wasn't his phone, it was him laughing at me because of my understatement. Thanks, babe. Don't blow me kisses after you laugh at me. Um, anyway, since we're on the topic of mentally health, I typically don't discuss these things, but last August I was struggling with these things. I found an organization called Gamer instead of just talking things through with people. Have been just learning about feelings, thoughts, process. I think the clarity you get from understanding why you feel a certain I don't know entirely where you're going with that, but that's kind of why I talked through some things. The first part of the stream, like explaining a little bit about my past and why. And then I went through like the symptoms and things from PTSD and like why I am the way I am. And sometimes I have to remind myself, like, no, I don't suck. I just had a lot of bad things happen. And it can be hard to get your brain out of that. And I have to remind my brain a lot that no, I don't suck. It's just these things. And thank you for opening up about that, by the way. But yeah, that's part of why I was talking about it tonight and going over the symptoms and stuff. And hopefully, like anybody that stopped by and caught any of it, like will understand a bit more of why I sometimes am the way I am as well. Um, it's because of these things. But yeah, back to before my husband decided to laugh at me. Um, I frequently remind myself that I'm happy and I know it. My brain is quite possibly gonna overthink me into being unhappy. Because that's just how my brain is. My brain be like that. I'm almost done, about to feather this shadow out a little bit here. I don't know if I want to highlight this one. I might just do the shadows. I'll blur this out. Probably could have done these a little bit thicker. Maybe not quite that thick. Those are quite thick now. Let's do it again. Let's see what happens. Diffuse that shadows a bit more. I don't think I'm going to highlight this one. I think I'm just going to leave it with some shadow on it. This is a pattern I haven't done in a while, but I have attempted this pattern a few times, and it is kind of an owl heart pattern. At least that's what I tell myself. It loosely resembles owls and hearts. That's what I was trying to go for tonight with it. Um, Move over. Click and read. Come on. Stop it. There we go. I think the clarity you get from understanding why you feel a certain way is more powerful and liberating than figuring out what to do about it. You found it amazing how much better things got just by practicing a few little things. I have no clue what you went through, and it's clearly still heavy on you. I just hope you find peace with it. Life is too fucking precious for us to be angry, mad, and sad at things that are and were out of our control. They're worthy of being loved, and you are, and I hope you'll always remember this. Thank you, Fom. I appreciate that. Like I said, I know there's a difference between knowing and feeling. And I know that I'm a decent person and I try to be kind and I try to be helpful. And I have done a lot of things. I've planned a lot of events and I've headed committees and I've run nonprofits and I've made my town's first Earth Day festival and planned a lot of litter cleanups that literally helped tons of trash get picked up, which may have saved some animals. Um, excuse me, even when finances are tight, I've donated a portion of my art stuff to things that I feel are important. What's happening? Um, I got a weird notification. My brain doesn't like notifications. It distracted me. Um, so yeah. Um, I wish stuff didn't hang on me. Like I wish I could let things go more. Um, but my brain hates me a little bit. My brain I have to argue with my brain a lot. Like, so there's a difference between knowing and feeling. Um, and yeah, like I said, Mom, I went through a lot, and I went through poverty, and I went through every type of abuse and neglect you can think of, and people went to jail because of actions they perpetrated against me. Um, and then I went and got pulled and put into foster care. Like it was a very bad situation. And because all of that occurred when my brain was forming connections and stitching itself together, even though I have gotten much better throughout the years, there are still unhealthy connections in there. And like I said, I haven't felt my best self lately. And I think I finally figured out that it's because I was down with COVID, because my sense of self worth is unhealthily linked to what I can accomplish and what I can get done. And if I'm not getting something done, like when I was just sitting around with COVID and I couldn't even focus my mind to really work and do too much, um, my brain's just really not good at relaxing. Like my worth, I think, went down a lot because I wasn't accomplishing and getting things done. I wasn't able to make my bed, do my dishes, and just normal things. And so I think my worth took a hit, and so my stuff flared back up. My brain just latched on and was like, "See, you are not getting things done, so therefore you're worthless and you're not important, and even though you're gone, no one's missing you." Like my brain really hyper latched on to that. Not as much as I should, Mom. I did do several years of therapy when I was a lot younger, and was diagnosed with the PTSD and depression and generalized anxiety disorder. And then, unfortunately, medical insurance has changed, and I haven't been able to do real therapy in a while, and I felt like I was good for a while. I was doing okay, and my symptoms weren't flaring up, and I didn't need it as much. And then I went through a lot of grief because a lot of people passed away, and I started looking for it, and it's just not financially viable for me at the moment. So yes, I have done some, but I fully recognize that more would be beneficial. But it's not an option for me right now, unfortunately. I wish it was. It would be good for me. One day, hopefully soon. Anywho, I have surprisingly been on for almost 2 hours. Um, I am still going to stay on for a little while longer because I'm not really tired, and really want to like be tired enough for my brain to go to sleep tonight, because I've just my sleep has not been great lately. Um, so I'm going to take a short break, and then I'm going to come back, and I might do another Zen line drawing. I might work on my draw this in your style piece that I need to get back to and finish. Um, but I do like how this came out. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I do kind of like it. because it is that owl-ish design that I was trying to go for. It's kind of got hearts in it. So I do like it. But yeah, I'm gonna use the restroom and come back. If you're still here, thank you very much for still being here. I do appreciate it. If you need to go out into the world and do other things, thank you for the time that you were here. And I'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. Be nice to each other in the chat while I'm gone. If you hang around, and I'll be back in just a little bit. Thanks. All right, we are back. So yeah, um, if anyone's still here, thank you. Um, and if you're at all curious, if you do want to hear more of the story, or um, if you're more interested about like the symptoms of PTSD and stuff, you can definitely go back. Um, so this is the one we drew tonight over Discord. I will look at it when my iPad isn't connected to the screen. Unless you'd like me to look at it now, and then I can disconnect the iPad and go look at it now. But yeah, you can watch the VOD if you're curious. You can watch the first part, or I go into my story a little bit, and then I go into the symptoms of PTSD and how they particularly affect me, and the symptoms of generalized anxiety disorder, as well as I didn't really go over depression because depression, a lot of the symptoms are the same symptoms from PTSD and anxiety disorder. So, but yeah, so we finished this one. This one I did. I sometimes do these off stream when I'm really stressed as well. And I've been extra stressed. So this one, this one, this one, this one, this one I don't like. And this one, we're all done between now and the last stream. And then, of course, this one we did on the last stream. Kind of tempted to go into more Zen line art, but I do need to get this, draw this in your style done. And this was annoying me a little bit. I didn't like how the pants came out, but this is the original. This is the drawing that I'm working from. That I'm making my own a little bit. So I should probably jump back into and do some more work on this. Draw this in your style one. So we did start this on stream, like maybe on Monday or last Friday. I started this one on stream. So yeah. I like looking at the mod view because the mod view shows the closed captions, which are hilarious. If you don't have closed captions on and you need a bit of levity in your life, go for it. I'm so tempted to use my infinite points to redeem my own overlay redemption and get rid of the property of Kurno. I am not a fan. Anyway, I'm also not a fan of these pants. I don't like how they're coming out. That's okay though. I have other parts that I can and should work on. So I should maybe get to that. I really like how she's got the eyes, and actually part of why I chose this, I don't know if you can see it, but part of why I chose this is because she looks kind of mad and determined, but she's actually got a bloody nose um, going on in there. And of course, because of my history, this definitely kind of speaks to me in a way. So that's why I chose to do this, draw this in your style one. Yeah, she looks feisty despite obviously having gone through something. So, this one really spoke to me. I really wanted to draw this one. I think mine's looking kind of feisty too. Definitely my own style, but definitely pretty feisty. For sure. But I do like what she's got going on with the eyes here. I'm gonna try a little something. Because I do like what she has going on here. I need to use the darker red for this though. It gets really dark red in here. Yeah, I like that better. Oh, I can't do it this way though. Hold. I need to do this a slightly different way. Yeah. Nope. Hold on. The great thing about digital artwork is the undo button. There's no undo button on traditional artwork. Even though I still do like putting pencil to paper, I keep a journal and a sketchbook near my bed. Could have lowered the brush size, and that probably would have made my life easier, but that wouldn't be as fun. Mm, maybe. I'll merge it down for now. So many brushes, and I pretty much use the same like 10 brushes over and over and over again. That over here. I'm kind of hesitant to turn music back on, even though I kind of want to, because I actually got dinged on music as using. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do this. Temporarily turned into storm for a minute there. All right, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna duplicate this group. I'm going to flatten this. And I'm going to alpha lock this groove and fill it. I'm going to drag it underneath. I don't need this quite so big. I'm going to drag that underneath. Unalpha lock it. Waiting for it to yell at me that I'm running out of layers. Okay, that is not doing what I wanted it to do. I mean, it is technically doing what I wanted it to do, but not really. Let me try that. Okay, that is doing what I wanted it to do, but a little too much. Just a little too much. Maybe? Maybe not? Kind of works. I'll leave it for now. I'm gonna run out of layers. Clipping masks and multiple layers are super awesome until you get to the point where you use them so much that you're running out of them. Also, my head is not happy because of this ponytail, so I'm gonna take this ponytail out real quick. Well, that's probably more of a girl thing, getting a headache from your hair being up in a ponytail. And not great to try and fix your hair on stream, but it is what it is. So, there we go. Alright. Maybe if I keep it in a loose braid, it will not give me a headache. Alright. Little better? Mayhap. Maybe. By the way, as a little side note, I do not know if I am going to be streaming on Monday because I have a filling appointment. To get a filling, so I don't know how I'm gonna be feeling. I might be good to go, or I might not want to stream, so I don't know. We shall see. I had an appointment much earlier in the month, and then the Ronas got me. Also, I need to fix something real quick because it's bugging me. Why are you doing that? Oh, because you're alpha locked. Okay. There we go. But yeah, I was using pretzel rocks on Wednesday because again, I wasn't quite feeling myself and I was being pretty quiet and everything. And so I turned music on and part of my stream got muted. Um, can't believe I'm not out of layers yet. It's amazing. But part of my stream got muted, so I'm not entirely sure I want to um, use pretzel rocks or anything like that. Maybe at some point in the future, I'll get back to it again. What am I doing? Oh, I know what I did. Wrong layer. Got it. That would explain things. At least I didn't do entirely too much on that. Would have really. A lot of times I cheat a little and I use the Gaussian blur for shadowing and highlights. It definitely doesn't give you as much control though. So I've been doing a little bit more manual lately. Holy crap. Can't believe I'm not out of layers yet. Maybe too much. Maybe the tiniest bit too much. Also, after going on and on about all my terribleness, I haven't asked anyone tonight how they're doing. Being a little selfish tonight. And allowing myself to take up the space unapologetically. A lot of times, even though I feel like I need someone to talk to, I also don't feel right doing what I call backing my trauma truck up into other people's space. But this is my space. But not my space, but my space. Get it? um, so yeah, this is my space. So you know what? It's okay. If I need to speak out into the void, that's okay. All right. Should maybe give this lady some earrings. For the most part, I think everything is shadowed and highlighted. I've never been on Tumblr. I don't even know what Tumblr is. Tumblr. Like, I've heard of it said before, but I've never actually been on it. What is Tumblr? Microblogging and social networking website. Is it a thing? Like, do people use it? Oh, apparently it is crawling back out of obscurity. I don't know. Apparently it's a thing again because it says during the pandemic a bunch of under 24-year-olds started going at it. Gotcha. Interesting. I've heard of Tumblr. I've just never been on it. It's interesting. Yeah, apparently it's been crawling back out of obscurity because people have been online a lot. Okay. I like her dark line art. Usually I do a dark line art too, but I've been trying to get away from dark line art. I've for a long time I've been trying to figure out what my quote unquote style is, and I settled on it being kind of cartoonish realism. Like I strive to one day maybe paint things more realistically, but I'm kind of a cartoonist at heart. I always have been. Just I can do some more realistic sketches sometimes, but for the most part, my stuff's kind of cartoonish. But I also randomly try to realistically shadow and highlight it, which isn't as cartoonish. Um, so yeah, I should maybe put some jewelry on here. Oh my gosh. Hopefully, hopefully it works for them. as long as it works for them. All right. I should maybe add some earrings. But what should my earrings look like? Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm not out of layers yet. I really can't believe I'm not out of layers yet. I can probably put these together though. Let's see. Yeah, that's okay. I can put those together without giving me much trouble. I want those to stay under the hair. I'm gonna leave those separate for now. Those are together. That's together. I think that's as good as I can get at the moment. Yeah. Hopefully it works out for them. Few years it's gonna be the same. That's your net worth. 2 Starbucks cups and a bag of chips. You made the shadow smirk and laugh under his breath. I don't know. There is an owl or some type of bird out there, either warning its friends or signaling some sort of distress. They may or may not have blocked it last time. Just so you know. Alright. Yeah, the first half of the stream was all serious and whatnot. And now I feel like we're doing a little more levity. This is the more relaxed part of the stream. We're having more fun. Alright. Still some things to do. First off, the earrings are going to need to be on top of the hair. Perfect. Let's turn the drawing assist on for now. Do like the earrings that she has going on, but I kind of want to make my own set of earrings. All of Netflix? All of it? I don't know if it's different in Canada, but I try to encourage my kid to watch educational shows. And I don't know, I think your kiddo is a little bit younger than mine, but one of the shows that he liked that really taught him a lot, and he still likes one of them, but they have, I think it's called alpha blocks or letter blocks, and then number blocks. And they're just these little cartoons and stuff, but they also teach numbers. Oh, Paw Patrol. Yeah, we have all the Paw Patrol crap too. Alright. Yeah, let's just go over to some pure black here. What kind of earrings do I want? I want some earrings. I don't know what earrings. Hmm. I don't want to do exactly hers. I want to change it up a little bit. According to her rules, you need to recognize the character. As a general rule, I like more simplistic things as opposed to gaudier, bulkier things. Hmm. Who are your two favorite pups? And also, dang you, the theme song is playing in my head now. My two favorites, I know they introduced a bunch more towards the end, but I really like Rebel and Rocky. Zuma and Rocky. When was Zuma? When was Zuma? Zuma. Paw Patrol, first suggestion. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he has that one, and he has Zuma's little boat that as like a bath toy. He used to have like the bus and like all this stuff. Yeah, I liked Rebel and Rocky the best. Hello, Grasshopper. Yeah, better hope the cat doesn't see you. Hold on. Oh, please. Hey, Shadow Man. Can you come get this cricket and or grasshopper before Frosty does? We saved a lizard from the cat the other day. It's right there on the wall. Save it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I think I have a generalish idea. So that'll come out from under her hair. And be more straight down. Guess I do not need to look at hers right now. And I guess I really only need to design one side, and then I can move them later if I want. Alright, we'll get a bead in there. Ah, hey, Paw Patrol. It's drowning in the ocean. Chase won't need your help. How about no? Zuma is clearly qualified to handle that. Not cool. Yeah. Hey, Kelly. What do you know about Paw Patrol, Kelly? We're complaining how Ryder plays favorites. And I'm trying to design some earrings here. What in the world are you doing, Procreate? Again. Oh, thank you, thank you. We had a very serious first half of the stream. Ah, thank you. Thank you, Fob. Kelly, I know it might be a little hard to see, but Kerno got an overlay that has made me ever since now ban text. He saved them. And also because with COVID and dental problems and stuff, I temporarily took singing off of the redeems. So he did that. And Brad didn't want to Brad had enough to like save me from it, but Brad's saving up for me to send him a coloring book, so yeah. Okay, so you have to tell me what you want, Fom. And we may not get to it tonight. It may be something I do on my next stream. But you have to tell me what you would like. And I am so excited because that means this is a new thing, Kelly. That means that there are, what is your, you say you're on the desktop. Twitch coffee bar. Okay, I already put it in the coffee bar. Cool. Here we go. All my stuff's temporarily broken right now because I have it all minimized. Oh, let's bring that back up. That back. Here we go. So happy right now. resized once. Why are you still there? I can get rid of you now. Remove. Yes, I do. And remove. Bam! It's gone. Moderately sized. It's moderately sized for now, but one. So the edition overlay cannot be text. On your cafe scene, we can't hear you talk. Yeah, I was totally talking the entire time I was on the coffee thing. So can I copy this? Copy, paste. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, yay, that's fixed. Good to know. Cool beans. Okay, so yeah, I was talking that entire time, so good to know. Um, but yeah, so Kelly, this is where the overlays that get kicked off the overlay go to retire. They go to the coffee bar and they live in the coffee bar. So that's where they live now. And once Bomb sends me his overlay that he's not even making me draw, I get to put an owl on my overlay. Also, the first half of the stream, we were having really serious conversation, and we were doing some more Zen line. This is the Zen line we did, kind of like owl hearts. Welcome back, H squared. But yeah, so we did this one the first half of the stream. If you're interested in knowing more about my past and stuff, and like the actual symptoms of certain disorders and things, I'm gonna assume you meant away from keyboard. Um, um, so yeah, and I did a bunch of them while we were off screen, but the first half of the stream was really serious, and we were talking about a lot of stuff I've been through and my resulting mental maladies. Um, and now the second half of the stream, we're just a little more loosey goosey relaxed. Now I gotta design some earrings. I'm gonna assume that Kelly meant away from keyboard. But welcome back. Ah, thank you. I kind of like it. It's a little different, but I like it. What was my plan? I had a plan, I promise. There was a plan. I just don't remember the plan. Why procreate? What have you been up to, Kelly? Like I was saying before, I haven't really exactly been my best self lately, and I haven't been online as much as a result. I was taking a little bit of a break from being on Twitch as much and well, not that I've been on Instagram very much, but I did scale back a little bit on my Twitch activities. The curse is this. Oh, ads. You meant ads. Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Let's switch back over to the red. That red. And let's turn on assisted. I am going to be moving over the redeems from the secret stash because everybody pretty much said that they would rather them be channel points. So I'm going to be doing that. But how are you, Kelly? You doing okay? It's been a little bit since I have been on my little bit of a break. Haven't popped into your streams as much either. Sweet. We can still gamble. I mean, I can't stop you. You're on a timer, Kelly, I think. I think I have it set on a bit of a timer. Maybe a little too big. I don't like it. Maybe. You were at the top for so long. You had the most. You were like number one. No, not so much. Wait, how did you go from 18,000? I guess it did put it through and you lost? Oh man, that's some ridiculousness right there. Such ridiculousness. This is not a casino. There is no casino here. I didn't make you gamble. That is all on you. I had this idea of how I wanted to do these earrings, and it is not. I mean, you can complain. One of the running jokes between my husband and me. I'll tell him, "You can't tell me what to do," and he'll say, "Yes, I can. You just don't have to listen." Mm, excuse me. Oh yeah, that's a dumb I just did. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Dang it. All right, I suppose it'll work. Nay. No. Yeah. I think just talking through, like I said, like the first 2 hours of this stream was me like talking about my past and um kind of going over that sort of stuff. And I'm gonna do drawing assist and clipping. And I think just talking about it really was helpful. Just getting out of my head was definitely good. So thank you very much to those of you that listened through that. And just anybody that showed up given this stream title because you didn't know what you were going to get tonight. I really appreciate y'all. I cannot believe I'm not out of layers yet. All right, Mom, drive safe tomorrow. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to message me your owl when you get a chance for the overlay. I might have to get off of here soon. I've been on here for almost 3 hours and my computer is feeling a little warm. It's not very happy. You were here the whole time, Colonel. You heard the whole sob story. And the only time you chimed in was when Fom took away your overlay. I see how it is. And the funniest part is you could not wait for Fom to see it. And then Fom just went ahead and took the overlay. I am amused. Just adding some subtle highlights to this. Trying to, at least. When I zoomed out, I didn't like it. Yeah, good enough. Merge down. Merge down. Let's see here. Yeah, let me do this first. Well, hello. Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Did y'all have a good trivia night? Lots of fun, crazy stories. Because I already did that stool. Oh, fun. My lady horse? I don't have a lady horse. Here you go, stool. We know what you want to see. Just for stool. These are some of the old draw this in your style pieces. And then I was working on this lady. But the first 2 hours of the stream, I actually was telling a bit of my story and going over some of my diagnoses and symptoms. And we were drawing Zen line. So we were drawing this before. And then I did a bunch of these off stream as well. So I was in a mood. Did this one last stream and OA was hanging out with me. So yeah, we're working on a draw this in your style. Hopefully you guys had a good trivia. Here's another one for you, stool. That one I actually have on a t-shirt. Like Stream Elements just reminded. Still don't know what you mean, Tons. They've come to steal my lady horse. What does that mean? But also, Stool, I have drawn a cucumber before. And tacos as well. Oh no, it's in OA's folder. OA has her own folder. What tons? Seriously. Oh my gosh. Where is OA's folder? There's OA's folder. There you go. There you go, Stool. I have drawn a cucumber before. Yes, it was just expressly to put the cucumber in Tons' hands. Here it is in all its glory. The details you can't really see in the very tiny emote. Those whiskers go down, those eyebrows go up. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Y'all are crazy. And this is, of course, is always other one. Which, fun fact, I was a mean mom for about 2 or 3 weeks. I had my, then he was 7 then. I had my kiddo convinced that you had to say hi to them to make them work. So I would bring up the animated version versus the non-animated version. So yeah. But there we go. Back to my lady over here that I'm working on. I'm so very glad that it's an impressive cucumber. So who won at trivia? Who was the winner of the trivias? Hey, Oe. How you doing? Who won trivia today? Sadie? Sadie. Sadie is very smart. Sadie wins a lot. Tens, did you even play? Hey, Shadow. Do we have Steam installed on the computer? Huh? Is it super intensive on the computer? Not sure if it's working or not. No, he wasn't there. You have a cucumber box coming? Ah, I need it to go swallow though. Will it not do that? Okay, we'll have to deal with this offline. I want you to investigate it for me. Yeah, it's got like a 31-minute download time apparently, so I don't know about that. Alright, I was gonna try something, but it's not working. So my husband tons, my cat keeps attacking it. Oh my gosh. So you're gonna do a stream tomorrow and open it? Did I miss Kelly saying goodbye? I think Kelly might have left. Oh man. Oh man. I am going to be jumping off of here soon though because I am at almost the 3 hour mark. And like I said, my computer is overheating a little bit. I want to look inside the box. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Oh yeah, I'm not done with that yet. Let's see. Delete that. Take this off. Maybe an evil sock monkey in the box. You're gonna name it Cucumber? Merge. I'm gonna merge that. That. Back on. Sweet. Maybe pickle. Cucumber the evil sock. Oh my gosh. That'll be hilarious. Does that mean the other monkey can be called Pickle the good sock? So the cucumber is evil, but once it's pickled, it's not evil? I don't know about this. I don't know about this. Pickles are better than cucumbers? I like both. I like both. The weird lore of my channel. I have no lore other than I'm apparently supposed to be mailing everybody checks. Excuse me. Yeah, I have no lore. But that said, I have been on for like 3 hours now. I'm definitely gonna ask because I know y'all. Everyone says since I'm HR, I'm supposed to be sending out the checks that all the atheists are supposed to be getting since we're all getting paid by someone to be atheists. Um, I've been told I need to send out the checks. Um, Anywho, if anyone's interested, I would encourage you the no, because I don't have a cucumber box. I don't get cool packages from Tons. Yeah, apparently I'm supposed to be routing those checks. So, um, but if you guys are interested in getting to know a little bit more about me, the first like hour 45 of this stream, I really went into a lot of detail about my past and the conditions I was diagnosed with and the symptoms of those and how they affect me. So you guys can understand a little bit if I'm not being my best self, maybe, because my brain has been attacking me. And getting it out of my brain kind of definitely helped me. So if any of you are interested in knowing a little bit more about that, um, you can watch the VOD to get to know me a little better. And on my website, I have we need to have a meeting, right? But if anyone's interested, I do have a website that has like some stickers and stuff on it. I do have a coloring book of my Zen line art drawings for you to color. And then I also have a spring store that I'm just starting to put designs in there. This was like the first design. Listen, Marie, Austin is okay. If I could afford a P.O. box, I would have a mailing thing to send out, but I can't afford a P.O. box. Um, but so yeah, if you're interested in any of the things, um, you could totally do that. And of course, you could subscribe to the channel. You subscribe to the channel, you get all the fun emotes. Um, I don't chill as much as I should, but there is an animated FSM. They are spendy. There is an animated FSM. There is a flying pig. There is the crocoduck, the theist worst nightmare. The crocoduck. Oh yeah, the PO boxes. Yeah, I can't afford one of those. There is the atheist light bulb for the atheist light bulb moments. Um, the atheist coffee cup. There are lots of fun emotes. The fish rocket, which was not as cool as I wanted it to be, but I had to reduce the file size. Yeah, that's a lot. I can't afford that. Lots and lots of emotes. The pink bear emote. That's the shilling of all the things. Yeah, I will work on this more. I may or may not cancel my stream on Monday. I am getting a filling on Monday. A dental filling. So I am not sure if I'll be in the mood to talk or not. We'll see. But I might cancel my Monday stream. But if not, I'll be back on Monday. And if I do cancel that one, I'll be back on Wednesday. But I've already been on for about 3 hours, so I think we're gonna go say hi to Mikey. See? 25 a month. Yeah, I can't afford like any of that. Hopefully things will start getting better next month because the Shadow Man got a raise. But I'm on a very tight zero budget and I have zero money for extras at the moment. Um, it's been a rough month with how much prices have gone up, but hopefully it'll start getting better. Anyway, this is the raid message. Should you choose to, I pay 40 for 3 months. It's still an excess expense that I can't justify at the moment. Hopefully things will improve. Yeah. I was planning on raiding Mikey if that's cool with everyone. If not, I mean, you don't have to stay for the raid, but you get extra channel points for this one. I told you, Tons, if you order something off my website, you'll have a return address on that. Anyway, I'm gonna raid Mikey. There's the raid message should you choose to copy it. I would stay on longer. I appreciate y'all raiding and chatting for a bit. You want to get to know me better, understand me a little bit more, watch the first part of this VOD. Yeah, the spring store is the print on demand stuff, but my actual website is on my page. It's renewedviews.com. It needs some TLC. I haven't been working on it as much as I should lately. But anyway, so yeah. Buy all the things if you can. Subscribe if you can. If not, thank you for your time and showing up and talking to me. I really, really appreciate it, especially right now. My brain has not been being particularly nice to me. But I do feel a bit better having gotten a lot of it out of my system the first half of this stream. Oh my god. I do feel a little bit better having gotten a lot of it out of my head the first part of the stream. James, the mail you sent me also arrived today. And I can't tell you, like, I don't get those. So it was a very pleasant surprise. I appreciated that, by the way. Because I don't get things like that usually. I said last year I cleaned and reorganized my room. So I appreciate it. That did perk me up a bit. But yeah, just talking it through and reminding myself of the diagnosis that I have and the symptoms of those diagnoses, and that like what I'm going through right now is normal. Like it's just a flare up of all that stuff. And getting it out of my system and like realizing that anyone that went through what I went through when I was younger would probably also have PTSD and anxiety disorders and things too. So anyway, I'm gonna read Mikey. Thanks for stopping by. Buy all the things. Watch this VOD if you're more curious about stuff with me. Much love. See you Monday, maybe, or maybe Wednesday. Bye for now.